Hey everybody, welcome back to Pixel Junkies. God damn.
How's it going? We're playing Division.
Also, what is she doing?
Everything is totally fine. She's washing clothes, but that's not what we're interested in. We're interested in taking on the Hyenas. Oh, you're laughing like a hyena.
Oh yeah, sorry. You probably should have had context for that before I made some sort of terrifying noise.
I mean, I said hyena. Yeah, we're heading over to the District Union Arena, which is the stadium in DC. And we're going to wipe out the Hyenas once and for all, even though they're still around after we finish the mission.
Yeah, I hate that in video games where like you successfully wiped out the Omega clan. And you're like, oh, cool. And then they still show up in the overworld. Like, I thought I wiped them out. And it's like, yeah, you did, except for the majority of their members.
Well, I guess the lore is that you're taking out, like, their leaders, essentially. So, all the enemies that you encounter after, like, the main missions, when you essentially dismantle one of the enemy factions, they're like, it's disorganized. They're no longer, like... It's a bit chaos, descend into chaos, and then I guess presumably after...
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
A certain amount of time that you don't see pass outside of the game, then the sort of the faction kind of dissolves. Because that's what happened with, like, because the Warlords of New York expansion, when that comes out very soon. Maybe even it's out, I don't know, because how we record this. The enemy factions from the first Division game, the Cleaners and the Rikers, will make an appearance again, despite the fact that you've dismantled them by killing their leaders. But the lore is that, like, they've essentially changed vastly. Like, they now have different leaders, different management. They attack in different ways. They have different methods.
They're going around like we were. It's like under new management.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool actually because the Cleaners show up in this game in the DLC that just came out. For context, Episode 3 just came out, and it's like they're obviously
Episode
Cleaners.
3, Revenge of the Cleaners.
Yeah, that's what it's called. And
is it?
No, and they're very different. Like it's very obviously the Cleaners, but they're very different, which is cool. It's cool to see stuff like have happened in the 7 months since the first game.
Yeah. Again, also, I still like to believe that all this really was just another typical day for New York. Like everyone's free, and I'm like, oh my god, there's people running around with guns. Like, yeah, it's new. Or like, this is happening in Detroit, but nobody cares. Like, yeah, this just seems.
You keep it down out there. Like, Jesus.
We're trying to evacuate.
Evacuate.
For what? It's like there's people out in the street like with guns and firearms. Yeah, I've been shooting back.
Yeah, that's why I moved here.
That's why I moved here.
Buddy goes to New York in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think I'm doing here?
Oh yeah, I wanted to start the game on hard mode. What?
But
it's like, game. This isn't a game. It's like, oh, what is it? Then who the hell's been giving me all these points for killing people?
Yeah, I want a permadeath mode. So let's do that. Like, it is permadeath.
Oh,
well, not yet. I haven't died at all yet. I want to lose all my progress. I want to have everything I do in life be a waste of time.
Like, I understand kind of the appeal of permadeath, but for the life of me, I would never do it. Like, oh man, you get 99% of the way through the game and then fuck up once.
Yeah, there's a permadeath mode in this actually as well.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. Which is ridiculous because some people have done the 8-man raid with 6 people on hardcore. It's like you see somebody running around with Eagle Bear on hardcore mode. It's like, fuck me, man. You got all the way to the end of the game and then did the hardest fucking piece of content possible on, like, impossible mode without dying once. Like, Jesus. I mean, more power to those people. I like the appeal of that, like you said, but to lose all your progress for probably a dumb mistake. You know, it's not really...
That was a massive fucking thing that just flew into the air on fire. That's like from the... I'm sure we've talked about it before, but then that explosion in China in 2015.
Yes.
In the when it like you see the explosion, you see these massive arcs of fire in the sky. You're like, oh, that's pretty neat. And you realize they're shipping containers being flung hundreds of feet.
Man, there's garbage in there. Like, no, there's like a 5-ton metal crate This went flying.
That might be a gas station or something.
I guess. Whoa! Oh! What the?
Whoa! I think we are dead.
It was a tremendous explosion.
Yeah, like when I first saw it, like I was trying to get the, like I kind of I guess didn't realize the perspective of it until you realize like, oh, this is a harbor that's like miles away and there's like massive pieces of metal and cars flying through the air.
Because one video that I saw, you see like there's a pretty big fire and all of a sudden you see like it grows bigger and you're like 1, 2, 3, 4. You're like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, what was the cause of the explosion?
Essentially, they were shipping highly explosive materials and somebody fucked up and they caught on fire.
Sweet.
Like
that's
that?
good. Like all these buddies that carry around packs of explosives on their back.
Are you looking forward to the new season of Clone Wars?
Yeah.
I'm excited too.
And I say it like that because I still have a lot of episodes to get caught up on.
Where are you?
I think I'm almost at the end of season 2.
Oh, okay.
But
So you've done the Geonosis episode, right?
I mean, I've watched those before, but yeah, I think I recently rewatched them again.
God damn! What the fuck just happened to you?
I got blinded.
God, I've talked about it so much on the show, but I just love when it's like, bring out the flamethrowers. Like, bring out the what?
Yeah.
Poor innocent people just trying to defend their home from invaders, because that's absolutely what's happening. Are just getting torched to shit.
Yeah, there's definitely like it feels like a kid show through most of it, but then there's moments like that where you're like, I guess not, because it's like I feel like it'd be awkward for a parent to watch this episode with a kid.
Because there's episodes where like, oh, Jar Jar and C-3PO get up to a wacky adventure, and it's like, and then in this episode, Darth Maul has an existential crisis about his own agency as he's getting tortured by Palpatine. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan has to figure out whether he wants to bang this chick or not, and Caddy-Mundi fries people with flamethrowers.
Yeah, and I like that there's like that one episode where there's a parasite or something, and they're like, we need to save everybody. And then I think Ahsoka or whatever the hell the other Padawan's name is.
Varys O'Teef.
Varys. She like kills a guy.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, you could have fucking... You're like, we gotta save everybody. Like, okay, well, fuck that guy, I guess.
One of my favorite moments in the show is when some guy, it's Obi-Wan and Satine, and they've got some guy backed into a corner, and he's got like a detonator in his hand. And he's like, stop, come one step closer, and I'm going to detonate the ship.
And Anakin just kills him.
Yeah, and they're like, who's going to kill me? You, Satine, the pacifist going back on on an entire lifetime of pacifism, or you, Obi-Wan? You'd be hailed as a hero by everyone. Oops, almost everyone. And he looks over at Satine, he's like, which one of you is going to be the bad guy? And then Anakin just comes up behind him and sticks him right to the gut, and they're like, Anakin? And he's like, what? He was going to blow up the ship.
Anakin. Yeah, there was that other episode too where like they need to get information out of a dude and they're like, you're a Jedi, you won't torture me. He starts force choking the guy. Like, Jesus Christ. Alright. Fuck it. We need information, bitch. Fuck you.
I don't know if they're real quotes, but like somebody's had a bunch of like really sassy Obi-Wan quotes from the Clone Wars, and somebody was like, "What is the height of incompetence?" And Obi-Wan responds immediately with, "I don't know, Anakin. How tall are you?"
Yeah, it's got its moments, and I think I've said it before, but it's a much better show when you watch it in order.
Yeah,
which is not the order they released the episodes in for some stupid ass reason.
I don't know why they did that.
What?
See, I never watched them live. I always watched them on DVD, so I always got the order.
Well,
order
yeah, but
66.
But the order on the DVDs are not like the correct order.
Do you think the clones ever questioned why Palpatine was suddenly talking like that?
I think
like all throughout the series, he's been like, "I am Chancellor Palpatine of the Republic, leader of..."
like this. It's like everybody knows who you are. You can stop doing that.
But it'd be like, how weird would it be? It's like, man, I'm sure do love working with Obi-Wan, and then all of a sudden you hear like, oh fuck, I'm getting the call from the Chancellor. Yes, sir. Commander Cody, the time has come. Execute Order 66. And you're like, and he's like, All right, this is who I'm working for. Yeah, okay, yeah, you got it.
Yeah, wrong number. I'll let them know though.
New phone, who dis?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if half the clone commanders execute order 66? Yeah, I didn't get that. I'm gonna call you back. And I was like, are you getting the call from some dude with prune face who's saying to execute order 66? Like, he wants us to kill all the Jedi. You're like, no, that's Palpatine. Fuck off. Palpatine has the face of a angelic angel.
The comms are down. Can't hear you.
I said execute order 66. Yeah, execute order 65.
Excuse who?
All right, everyone, let's go on vacation.
Escort six? What? I'm not getting any of this. We'll call you.
Can you imagine
We're in a bad spot.
if he was actually like, if he was trying to send out something else like, I need you to pick up my order of Executive 6. And they're like, execute order 66. And Palpatine's
Kill
like,
all the
no,
Jedi.
no, wait, no, it's not the time yet. No, he starts feeling through the force as all the Jedi are going. He's like, oh shit, oh man, oh fuck, oh god. He's calling up Yoda. Yoda, look out!
I didn't do it.
How shitty would that be? Like, everyone thinks that it's like Palpatine has manipulated the Republic and the Confederacy together in order to create the Empire, and really he's just been stumbling along in one massive lie. Like the whole like when the Clone Wars is created, he's like, "There's no way that I can do any." He's like, "Fuck! How do I get out of this situation? I need to get fired from this position so I can go home out of it." And he's like, "Oh, I know. They'll never go for this. If the only way that I can make a military for the Republic is if people, give me emergency powers." And then he's like, "If only Senator Amidala were here." And he's meant like she would never vote for that. And he's like, "Hold on, I think the representative from the Gungans of Naboo wants to call an emergency session of the Senate." He's like, "Okay, what's this?" And Jar Jar gets up, was like, "I vote the Chancellor receives bombard emergency powers." And he's like, fuck, oh, I'm in it now, oh, fuck. And he's like, at least Count Dooku's managed to talk down the Separatists, and so they're not planning to leave. And the Count Dooku's like, "The Clone Wars has begun, my lord." And he's like, "What did you do that for?"
Yeah, I didn't. That was like that's funny. But outside of that, like, I didn't get why the Separatists. Like, obviously they're hiding a secret, but it seems so dumb that the people working with the Separatists were fighting with, like, they had two of their own armies.
Yeah,
Like, they were fighting their own army just to remain secret for a little while. Like,
well,
why though? If you have all of the armies, just fucking do it now.
Well, the reason is because the entire point of the Clone Wars is to get rid of the Jedi, essentially. Because the way it was kind of set up in the Clone Wars Republic Commando novels, which are really good, is they say at one point they look at the map of the galaxy and they said, "Here's all the planets that the Grand Army of the Republic are currently engaged on. Here are all the Jedi. What does it look like happening to here? It looks like the Chancellor is just trying to maroon as many Jedi as possible in faraway places with as little support as possible." And then when you kind of factor it into the fact that Chancellor Palpatine created an entire clone force, loyal not to the Jedi but to the Republic, that is cloned from a Mandalorian super commando, who is one of the few people in the galaxy who's ever taken on a Jedi in hand-to-hand combat and won. Like, Jango Fett has killed multiple Jedi in his life. He's one of the few people who's ever killed Jedi.
Dies like a bitch.
He does die like a bitch. But in the canon, he was actually kind of a badass until he died like a bitch. It makes sense why Palpatine chose him to be the genetic template for his clone army. Because it's like, oh shit, this guy's a badass and he's able to take out Jedi, so who's better than him of taking out Jedi than an army of him? So Palpatine made an army of Jango Fett's because, he's one of the few people who can take on Jedi and
Is that
win.
a retcon, though? Because Jango doesn't do anything in the movies.
It is a bit of a retcon, but I think it's a welcome one. And that was in the expanding universe, the old Legends lore. That's no longer canon with the new canon.
Well, I mean, it could be.
Could be, but
It's canon until Disney ruin it.
Yeah, essentially.
Until they say, no, that didn't happen, this happened.
But yeah, so that's why. So the reason he needed a reason to make a big army and to militarize the Republic again. So he made the Separatists, and then he needed so not only did it give him an excuse to make an army, but it also gave him an excuse
Where's he
to
getting
get
all this fucking money from?
I don't know.
I'm gonna build a Death Star, and I'm gonna build a massive droid army that has millions of replaceable robots, and then I'm gonna clone millions of troopers. And
In unrelated news, I'm shutting down the school system.
Like, I feel like all of this could have been avoided if this guy didn't have infinite money, apparently.
Also, I love how
You get all the
useless the
money,
red
yeah.
guards are. Like, remember when Yoda goes up to Chancellor Palpatine's office?
The Elder
and
Scrolls race or the dudes in red clothing?
the dudes in red clothing in Star Wars, like the Imperial Guard for Palpatine. And because they're standing next to the door and Yoda comes in, and they're like, oh shit, it's Yoda! And Yoda just lightly smacks them against the wall and knocks them out. Like, and then Palpatine says the most evilest, like, Master Yoda, you survived.
And then he does like a spin attack or whatever,
Yeah.
which makes total sense now that a spoiler's Rey is a Palpatine, because like the very first thing she does with a lightsaber is like jolt, like shift forward with it.
Yeah.
just like Palpatine did.
One of my favorite memes I've ever seen is, you know that scene in Episode 3 where they're talking about Darth Plagueis the Wise? Anakin sitting, and somebody took a screenshot of that. It's Anakin sitting next to Palpatine and go, you should try spinning, that's a good trick. And then it cuts to him going, ah!
So flying out of the chair.
Yeah.
That was actually gonna be a lot shorter than I thought. I was expecting the strongholds, this particular stronghold to be longer, but nope.
So I like, as shitty and dog shit as some of the prequels all, and as many terrible moments they had, there have been some great fucking memes to have come out of that.
I mean, it's kind of difficult to separate them at this point with how many times you've seen like different Palpatine memes and shit.
Yeah.
You're watching the movie, you're like, oh, haha, this meme.
I don't think I've ever laughed quite as hard as when I saw fucking Shooting Stars Palpatine for the first time. That was because I didn't know what to expect.
It turns into the fucking Star Killer base at the end.
I genuinely almost dropped my computer. I fucking was laughing so fucking
I thought
hard.
you were gonna say in the theater when you thought it was Coruscant and that Turbo pissed off. When they blow up Coruscant.
I genuinely got super fucking pissed off at that because I thought because it was such like a fuck you moment. Like, oh man, here's this cool planet which you have a lot of connection to and has this deep lore and connection to the rest of the expanded universe and is an integral part of Star Wars galactic history, and we blew it the fuck up. My main issue, and I think I've said this before on the on one of these things, is that the prequels make the original series seem irrelevant, and that's my main problem with them. At the end of Return of the Jedi, 3 things had been accomplished. Luke had defeated the Sith. He was going to restart the Jedi Order, and the Rebel Alliance had.
Prequels or the new trilogy?
The sequels have done. If I said prequels, I was a
I think
mistake.
you said prequels.
The sequels, the reason I don't like the sequels is because they retcon what came. They retcon and they completely make irrelevant the original series. So yeah, at the end of the original series, Luke is going to restart the Jedi Order. He's defeated the Sith, and he has and he's going to start and the Rebels are going to reinstate the Republic, and you get the sense that they're finally going to be able to win against the Empire now, and start and restart the Republic. At the beginning of what the sequels do is it set up is that Luke's Jedi Order fell through and there are no more Jedi left. The Republic has fallen and the Sith are back. Like, why the fuck did we go through this whole thing in the first place? Like, everything's back to the way it was 30 years later. And that's what pisses me off, because they could have had an interesting story that didn't fucking shit on everything that happened in the original series, and that's what pisses me off the most.
Yeah.
I was fine with the First Order when they were just kind of like a fringe group on the outside of, and not. But then, like in Episode 8, they became suddenly this massive army that took control of the whole galaxy, and it was like, fuck! Like, you just completely shut on everything that came before it. And say we will with the prequels, at least the prequels don't make the original series irrelevant.
Yeah, I feel like. When we've talked about it a billion times, but I feel like maybe parts of the plot were a result of everybody being super old and not interested anymore. Like, you can't really get Mark Hamill to be like a Turbo Jedi Master anymore. The dude's old. He's not going flying around and shit.
Yeah.
Like, so what do you do with Luke? Well, I guess kind of what we got, you know what I mean? Like,
no.
I guess they could have handled it much better.
Yeah, well...
but still...
I mean, I'm partway through my Star Wars rewrite. I'm still working on the prequels right now, but
and that was the big thing for me is like I like the way the Force is presented in the film. Well, at least when I saw it, and when you play the games, it's nice to know that like the Force is a powerful thing. Like Rey pulls a ship out of the sky, basically. Not a big one, and she struggles with it.
Yeah.
But it's cool that, like, this is a thing that you can do, but
Yes.
like, much that you're getting in, much like probably what you're going to get into, I started looking at, because, you know, we talked about at length Star Wars, and what would you do had you had the opportunity to write the series from scratch yourself? You know, all the ideals in the world, casting, whatever, different plot points. And that was kind of where I got stuck in it. It's like, how powerful should the Force be? And when you start thinking about it, it's like, well, what can you achieve with the Force? Can you get memories by touching an object? Can you pull things out of the sky? Like, at what point is it just, like, not cool anymore and a very obvious crutch for a plot hook to, like, allow these characters to essentially get access to everything and be unbeatable? And that's kind of where I fell into maybe the Force being more like it was in the original trilogy, where it was kind of like it was mysterious.
Yeah.
Like, there are points where it's like, okay, the Force is obviously a real thing, but for the vast majority of it, you could be like, well, is the Force a real thing? Like, or, you know, is it just like willpower? Are they just like really? Do they just really get something? You know, like,
my favorite ever explanation of the Force, up until Episode 8 came out, my favorite explanation of the Force was the one that Yoda had in Episode 5, where he was like, judge me by my size, do you? And well, you should not, for my ally is the Force, a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. And I don't know, that's a really good explanation of the Force, but I think, as for all the faults that film has, that film still has some really good parts to it. One of them is Luke's and Rey's explanation of the Force.
yeah, I like that as well.
They're meditating, and he's like, what do you sense? And he says, I sense hot, cold, up, down, light, dark, like,
yeah, and
life, death.
it cuts to, like, you know, yeah, like you know, violence, peace.
Yeah, and it's like, and in between
Flips
that, a Force. And I'm like, that's a really good explanation. It's the balance between these things. That's what the Force is.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's a great it's much better than the midichlorians in terms of explaining what the fuck it is. But it keeps it mysterious while also kind of grounding it. I love that. That's such a good explanation. And then, you know, everything else bad that happens in that fucking film.
Everything else in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Yoda's line in that. Yoda's line in that as well, where he said, like,
That they are what we or
that is the burden of all masters. We are the ones they grow beyond.
yeah. That's
Like,
a good, yeah.
And it kind of summarizes Luke's character at that point as well, which obviously could have been more useful maybe 10 years prior when he was going through that shit, but whatever.
The way, again, I don't want to. I'm still kind of working through what I want to do with the sequels, but I have some ideas that would that would make Luke's character come across as this is a more natural progression for Luke. Because I like to think of Luke as not like Obi-Wan in terms of, you know how like Obi-Wan was pretty well wise and all, like he kind of knew what was going on. Like the idea of Luke as a master attempting to be like Obi-Wan and be wise and all knowing, but he really isn't that kind of person. He's more, Luke is still Luke. He's still rambunctious and foolhardy and got a lot of heart, and he hasn't matured. Not that he needs to mature, but that like he's trying to mature when he's not ready for it. And I like the idea that Yoda's ghost comes by and kind of gives him a smack on the head, and be like, no, you need, like, don't be Obi-Wan, be yourself.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan was a good master for you, and then you need to be a good master for, you know, whoever. Because I don't want to spoil what I'm working on.
Yeah.
Ben Quatneros.
I feel like in an ideal world, Quatneros got to show up at some point.
Who?
I feel like Quatneros got to show up at some point.
Oh yeah.
I feel like in an ideal world, Star Wars, like, Episode 7 would have been made, like, when the prequels were made. Or maybe even before that, you know what I mean?
When Mark Hamill and all of them were big.
When they were still, like, you know, appropriately aged and still, like, ready to do action movies and stuff. Because it definitely would have been a lot more interesting to see kind of like a more gray Jedi all around. Like, you know, because Luke is training these people to be Jedi, but he's not using, it's not the council. It's not...
Yeah.
It's
not
definitely
going
more
through a
grassroots
Jedi movement.
Yeah, so like, and there could have been, like, you could still do, like, Kylo Ren and the shit like that, like stories like that come out. But I feel like Luke should have been a lot more invested in those plot lines because,
like I've said this
he
before,
really just kind of fucks off and then does nothing.
But I don't think that Yoda should have been an active member of the Clone Wars at all. I think that Mace Windu should have been the head of the council during the Clone Wars, and Yoda is like a respected elder who's becoming more and more disillusioned with the Jedi Order because they're becoming more warlike and more controlling. And Yoda's like, no, this isn't the Jedi way. And Mace Windu's like, well, we have to do this because we need to bring peace to the Republic. And I wouldn't write him as an asshole, but it's like, you can see his point, but you can also see, like, he's leading, like, it's kind of like he's doing a necessary evil, but it's still evil kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
He's
Yoda's
a voice
like,
of reason. He's like Captain America, except without the fighting.
Yeah. And so Yoda's like, and so Yoda eventually steps way back from the Jedi Council. And he's like, no, like I'm still gonna train. And so Obi-Wan ends up following more Yoda's training, and I would have Anakin fall more in line with Mace Windu being more proactive and warlike, and that's kind of why he falls to the dark side. Also, I think my favorite Yoda line ever in any of the movies is when he's like, concentrate all your firepower on the nearest starship.
It's really not Yoda at all.
No.
I mean, I don't know. I
don't think Yoda should ever use a lightsaber.
Yeah, that kind of would have been interesting. Because, like, obviously Yoda is super powerful. It would have been interesting to have a Jedi that doesn't use a lightsaber.
Well, I would just have him, like, if you want to have him have a conflict with Dooku, have Dooku and Obi-Wan and Anakin have their cool fight. The two of them lose because they're just not powerful, and then Yoda comes up and is like, it doesn't even use the Force or anything, except defensively. Like, I would have Dooku, like, shoot some lightning at Yoda or something, and then Yoda just blocks it like he does, and he's like, much to learn you still have.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see Yoda beat Dooku without actually doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, it always, we'll clue up, but it always looks so awkward when you watch those movies and you just look at the actual person fighting a tiny little CG character.
Also, when Yoda's like, during that whole fight, it's like, Yoda, are you alright, man? And then later on, he's like, talking to Luke, he's like, war's not make one great. Concentrate all your firepower!
Alright, well, we'll move on to Roosevelt Island next time.
Yeah.
And we'll take down the outcasts. Fuck you, Emmeline Shaw. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.